Hi, Village. It's your girl, Narice. And I'm back with another live stream. Now, the last live stream that I did, if you can tell from the title, was about Harry Potter because I had just had like a binge watched all the movies and had like a little mini marathon. And I was like, I have perspectives and opinions, and I might as well live stream about it, right? Because I mean, who doesn't like Harry Potter? And and so when I did the live stream, I had just finished watching Half Blood Prince, and then I finished the rest of it. And I also watched the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which is sorry, hi Ange. We have this over here. We have a furry beast, Fantastic Beast. And anyway, um, so I was watching that one because you know what, I could never get into that movie. Like I remember when it came out and everything, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, because at that point all the Harry Potter movies had came out already. And and it was like, damn, it's really over. Because like I said before, I really grew up with all the movies coming out. Like, anticipating, oh, when's the next Harry Potter movie? It's like in 2 years or something like that. Or like every few years or so. And so when the series was done, I was like, oh my goodness, like, what are we gonna do? And so I remember like kind of being excited about Fantastic Beasts, but then like when I was watching it, because like my dad watched it a few times and like I would like, pop in and see. I'm like, it's okay. No shade, no shade. But I have a new appreciation for that movie now, just because like I think it's a good pick me up after finishing Harry Potter because like if you watch all the movies, right? Like I mean because you're growing up with these kids basically. You watch the first few ones and they're younger, so it's like it's more family friendly. It's more they have like their struggles and stuff like that in their battles or whatever, but it's not as like dark and intense as the later ones because they're older and shit is getting real because like Voldemort is really back and he was wrecking all types of havoc, right? And and I was really thinking about it and I was like, as much as we all love Harry Potter, I'm like, Harry Potter is really like depressing for real. But like, and don't get me wrong, like I still love the films and I love the movies. I was like, oh my gosh, like after Goblet of Fire, like each movie is just like sad. And of course, like they have their moments in between where like, there's like the less serious things going on, like the drama between like Hermione and Ron or whatever. And just like the friendship stuff and the funny comedic moments. When they're doing like the spells and all that stuff. Like, there's those moments. But like the further that you get towards the end of the series, it's like, yo, shit is really real out here. Like Voldemort is really back and like everything is falling, you know? And literally like someone dies like after the fourth one, like in every movie. Like, and mind you, we're losing like key players like in the films. If you haven't already seen it, this is a spoiler alert. But I mean, it's been out for like 20 years. Like, you all should have seen it at this point. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, this is so crazy. And, and you know what? Because, like, okay, Cedric dies in the first one. And then Order of Phoenix, we lose Sirius Black. Mind you, we were just introduced to his character in the third film, Prisoner of Azkaban, right? How he was unjustly imprisoned, you know? And yeah, and then so like his character, we see him a little bit in Goblet of Fire, because he literally interacts with Harry through fire. Um and then, and in Order of Phoenix, that's like, mind you, Goblet of Fire is like that was the whole ritual that brought Voldemort back and everything. And so you know, Order Phoenix. There's like a shift in the school. Now, okay, so here's the thing. I think I already said this in the last one. Order Phoenix made sense in terms of like why the ministry got involved with Hogwarts because I mean there's literally a tragedy every year, you know. But the people, the what was her name? The lady with the all pink. She was wreaking havoc too. And I mean, turned out she was like on the side of the Death Eaters, and she deliberately wasn't teaching these kids how to defend themselves and was gaslighting these kids, gaslighting these people like, oh, Voldemort isn't back, this and that. Whole time she knew what was really going on for real. Um, and shout out to Professor Harry teaching the kids how to prepare themselves and protect themselves. But I mean, then you got Half Blood Prince and all these things like, the story just gets so dark. And I'm like, why do we love Harry Potter so much? I mean, not saying that it's not good. I mean, but I'm just like, my gosh, it just gets so sad. And I was really thinking about it, and I'm just like, this poor Harry, like he just loses everybody. And granted, there's enough characters for it to be because there's so many characters, right? There's so many characters, there's so many families, there's so many people like in Hogwarts, out of Hogwarts, the people within the ministry, the people within the Order of Phoenix, but like literally everybody was just getting picked off, literally. And I'm like, damn, Voldemort got it like that. I'm like, this dude just made a comeback, and you mean to tell me he got this much pull? And but like I said in the last live stream, like the thing with Voldemort that didn't make any sense to me was that, like, what was his motive? Like his motive still isn't like clear to me. The real downfall with Voldemort is the fact that he really was, um, you know, the people who supporting him weren't supporting him because they were like loyal to his mission or loyal to his cause. It was just like, we're scared of this person, so, and we don't want to like ruffle any feathers because he literally was offing people on his own team. You know what I mean? And like Snape had like the grimiest that, like, mind you, Snape definitely was a spy, for Dumbledore's side, but I don't think Voldemort knew that. I don't think he like picked up on it. Girl, you could get off me now. Anyway, and everybody for that matter. Um, but I'm just like, he could have just like Avada Kedavra him and kept it pushing. But like to have the snake going after him and all those things, I'm like, damn, Voldemort is just grimy. But my thing is like, towards the end, when it like appeared that they were losing the battle, right? I mean, what was anybody's real reason to support Voldemort? It's not like he had like a legitimate cause that people could rally behind that benefited everybody with him. It was just like his hunger for power. That's what it seems like. It's not like he was a villain with a cause, you know, or because I think that would have made more sense. It would have made more sense if it was like some, and plus like their whole hatred for like muggles, and I'm like, what these muggles ever do to y'all but exist? It would be, I mean, he did say something about like something with his father or whatever, and his father being a muggle, and he was kind of half blood or something like that. But my thing is, you know, it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense. Like it made sense if there was like, if he was like taking a stand for something and it was like, oh, these are atrocities happening to the wizard people. Like it would make sense to me if like muggles were trying to interfere in the magic world and were like hunting the wizards. And then he came together and was like, all right, let's, like Magneto, like Magneto in X-Men, right? Although Magneto was ruthless, he had a valid cause. You know what I mean? Like the regular folks was trying to do experiments and in prison and exploit the mutants. And he's like, nah, we not doing that. Like, you fuck with us is going to be a problem for you. And granted, his approach might not have been the best. So he made sense as a villain, but his ops were the people coming for his people. You know what I mean? So like it made sense. It made sense to do that. And so, like I can understand Magneto being like, let's rally up some mutants because these humans out here are trying to hunt us down and try to make you all feel like y'all should be prisoners and like y'all not powerful when really we're the powerful ones. And he gathered his crew and they did what they did. And then you have somebody like Professor X, where it's like, all right, Magneto, I see where you're coming from, but we shouldn't see these people as opponents. We should, like, there's good humans that want to work with us. Like, we shouldn't be beefing with all of, the regular humans because, you know, there's a few of them that want to like hunt us down or whatever. So, like, that motive and that logic actually makes sense to me. I feel like Voldemort, I never really got it. Like, why was this man mad? And like I said, like he's beefing with a teenager. Why are you beefing with a teenager? Like, aside from the fact that this teenager wasn't going to die when you tried to kill him, and he was an innocent baby. The fuck is wrong with you? Type shit. But that's beyond me. But anyway, leading up to that, right? I was watching the first Deathly Hollows. And that movie, I forget that that movie is completely like not even set at Hogwarts, right? So that whole movie is not even at Hogwarts. And, a lot of it is them like hunting the Horcruxes and, going up to the ministry and they in the woods and all of this stuff or whatever. And then there's that issue between like Ron and Harry and then you see there's a little bit of like jealousy with Ron and Harry and Hermione's relationship. And see, the thing that's interesting about that is that's something that I peeped for a long time because I always felt like Hermione, I hope I'm saying her name right. Hermione was more affectionate with Harry than she was with Ron. Like, her and Ron had like the chemistry or whatever, and they would have like their little cutesy, jokesy moments or whatever. But when it came to those moments where she was vulnerable and sad and or like she was really like affectionate and caring, she was always affectionate with Harry. Like if anytime when they came back from like their summer break or whatever, she was always really excited to see him. And and she was always concerned about him. Granted, like, I mean, it's Harry Potter and his family situation was pretty fucked up, so it made sense why she cared. But I just felt like there was more chemistry with her and Harry than it was her and Ron. So I can understand why Ron was feeling away like, oh, I see you guys and this and that or whatever. Even though like he was just being ridiculous because like she clearly cared for him. But logistically it made sense. Cause it's like she not really that affectionate with Ron. Granted, like, okay, that makes sense for someone like if you're not like I don't know, maybe she had like feelings. She didn't want to be overly affectionate, like she more comfortable with Harry. And and again, like I just did not care for Harry and Ginny. Like I just wasn't with it. Like I don't ship them like at all. And I'm just like and especially after the wedding in the first Deathly Hollows and everybody's like scattering because they had just learned that Voldemort took over the ministry. And so basically like all defenses that they would have had in the wizarding world was like taken over by Voldemort. So everybody scatters, everybody dips. And Ron, Hermione, and Harry are together, but they all left Ron's family and all of that because it was Ron's oldest brother's wedding. And so mind you, I mean, Ron was really concerned about his family because, like, he got all these brothers and stuff. And then even on the way to bringing Harry over there, his brother got injured and they lost Moody, right? And Hedwig, like the damn bird wasn't even safe. Like, and I'm like, they spared nobody. Um, unfortunately. But shout out to Hedwig because Hedwig was like, "You gonna fuck with Harry, bitch? You gonna get the smoke from me?" Like, and I'm like, shout out to the bird. Shout out to the bird. But poor thing. Anyway, so yeah, they lose Moody, Alistair Moody, the real one. Not the fake one. The actual one, because in Goblet of Fire there was the guy who worked at the ministry, his son, that was ended up being a Death Eater. He did the whole like poly potion thing so he can like morph into Moody and act as if he's the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher to guide Harry throughout the whole tournament, just to get him to the port key to end up being linked to Voldemort, so Voldemort could do the ritual to bring him back to power, right? So that's the reference for that. But we lose Moody in the first Deathly Hollows, and Hedwig, the bird. And I'm like, damn, and then so yeah, like, and okay, my point in even bringing that up, back to Harry and Ginny. So, that whole time when Harry, Ron, and Hermione are like out on the run, Ron is concerned about his family. It don't even seem like Harry is worried about Ginny. You know what I mean? Like, I know him and Hermione talk about it and they're like, "Oh, I see how you look at her. Like, I know you care." But that whole time she was gone, granted, he had a lot on his mind. He trying to get the Horcruxes. He got Voldemort playing with his head and all this stuff. And I'm like, look, I get it. It's annoying. Having these visions and, got this snake man trying to be all up in your thoughts. Fucking annoying, I bet. Um, but it didn't seem like he was really that concerned with her. They had like their little moments here and there, but I just wasn't convinced with their storyline. And I think I think I think I said this in the last live stream, but it would have made more sense to me if him and Luna linked up. I probably like thought this out loud or said it in a live stream. Either way, I'll say it again. It would have made more sense to me if him and Luna had a relationship, just because there were so many things that Harry would see and notice. Even though he didn't grow up with magic like everybody else did, he still had these interesting experiences, like being a parcel tongue and being able to speak to snakes, and being able to see creatures that are invisible to everybody else. And Luna was able to see those things and understand that. And I felt like she understood him in a way where, even in the wizarding world where he felt like he didn't fit in, she got it and she understood. And I felt like there was more connection with their friendship than him and Jenny ever did. Like, like I don't know. Like, I just felt like maybe if there was more build up to actually like if we knew more about Jenny, and if we saw her interacting with all of them more often, aside from Harry just stopping at Ron's house and hanging out with the whole family type of thing. Like, I don't know, I just felt like their romance didn't make sense to me. And if they was going to do it, it should have been built up a little bit better. Aside from him just saving her in the Chamber of Secrets when Tom Riddle was mind controlling her into doing the shenanigans or whatever. So yeah, I wasn't really here for that relationship, but whatever. Um but the first Deathly Hollows were it was interesting because, speaking of Luna, um they end up, discovering like what is actually the Deathly Hollows with that whole like symbol with the triangle and the circle. And you know what? That's a that the story about that, like the three Deathly Hollow peoples, was a very interesting story because, excuse me, a little burpee. Um, the story is very interesting. For one, it's such a somber story, and I'm like, okay, so that's the symbol that y'all want to rock because of this story, okay? Like everything about like the last few Harry Potter movies is so morbid. But I mean, good, like it's still like entertaining though. Not good, but entertaining nonetheless. And for those who know or don't know or whatever, basically it was like the story of these three brothers. They were traveling and they were trying to get across this river, and so they used magic to create a bridge. And they're wizards, so they're able to create the bridge and walk over. And so Death appears and feels cheated because usually that's how they, I guess people usually fall into the water or whatever, and that's their little trick on humans. And so um basically Death was like, all right, well, since y'all came up with a clever way to, get over the or create this bridge or whatever, I'll gift you all something. But it was a gift, but it wasn't really like I'm happy for y'all. It's like I guess here you go type of a thing. And so one person gets the Elder Wand, which is the wand that Dumbledore was using for a period of time. And other someone else gets a resurrection stone. And then the other person gets the invisibility cloak. We're familiar with the invisibility cloak because that's what Harry was rocking in the first few movies. Now the thing is, maybe they explain this in the books, but I feel like there should have been a better explanation as to how Harry got it, aside from the fact that his father left it to him. Um, like how did his father get it? Like who had it for them to get it? Like where is the backtracking of the steps of how they even got the invisibility cloak? But basically, like the thing about the brothers was that two of them were pretty arrogant about like being able to outsmart Death, and then one of them was pretty like humble about it, and it was the one with the invisibility cloak. And then one person had the Elder Wand. It was using the magic, I think, to like kill somebody or something like that. I forget the exact story, but and then Death was like, all right, well, if you're gonna do this to this person, then then Death came and collected that person. And then the person with the resurrection stone, they were in love with somebody, and that person passed, and then they used the resurrection stone to bring them back to life. But they never quite like got accustomed to being back alive again. And then and so I think they like passed away again, and then that other person like committed suicide or whatever. And so then Death came in, collected them. And then that third brother, the one that was humble, was chill. I was like, you know what? All right, you know what? Let me just get a gift that's gonna keep you off my back. I don't want no problems. I don't want no smoke. You know, respect to you and what you do. But here we go. Like this all I want. And then had the invisibility cloak, and he was dodging, Death doing crossovers on Death. Like, nope, more life, more life for me. Respectfully, respectfully. And up until a point where he was older in age and he was able to pass down the invisibility cloak to his son. And then, instead of being fearful of death, which a lot of times people try to create a lot of fear around death, he welcomed death like a friend because he was ready and it was his time to go. And it wasn't like, Death was lurking for him. Well, I mean, Death was kind of looking for him, but he was smooth with it. He was like, "Look, I got my invisibility cloak. You can't see me move around in these streets." And then he was able to pass it down to his son. And then when he seen Death, he approached it like a friend. He was ready to go. And from that story, I'm intrigued as to who is the kid to the to the brother who gave him the invisibility cloak. And I think it's very interesting that that story parallels how Harry ended up getting the invisibility cloak. Granted, it didn't really save his dad, but I mean, Harry has cheated death on several occasions. Okay, like I think twice. I mean, well, aside from Voldemort, no, he's escaped death from Voldemort like hella times. Now that I'm really thinking about it, like from him being a baby, from Sorcerer's Stone when Voldemort was a part of the dude, the professor dude. I don't know if they was trying to kill Harry, but he survived it. Um, you know, Goblet of Fire, he got up out of there, even though they got Cedric. And like I said in my last live stream, Voldemort was trying to off him, and Harry and his ancestors came through and was like, nah, he the chosen one. No, and so he got up out of there another time. Um, when they moved Harry from his old house to the Weasley house in Deathly Hallows, and they lost Alistair Moody and Hedwig, but Harry got up out of there again, you know. And then at the very end, like literally at the very end, I mean, I feel like there's probably more times in between that. Even when they was at the Malfoy's house and Bellatrix, or how you say her name, she wasn't trying to offer him because she wanted to save him to bring to Voldemort, but got up out of there. Like this dude is slippery. Like you can't get him. You can't get him. Okay. Literally all the way up to the very end of the movie, where Harry was just like, all right, we just gonna face death and we not scared. It is what it is. Because, at that point, I mean, he had already said like he was tired of like losing people for him. Like, and mind you, he didn't ask for this life. He didn't ask for that. All he wanted to do was go to Hogwarts and like learn to be a good wizard and hang with his friends. He ain't asked to be the chosen one, but he the chosen one. It is what it is. He rises to the occasion. And the thing that's really dope about Harry, like I said in my last live stream, is like, you know, he might not have been as knowledgeable or as experienced as people who might have grown up with wizards, or someone like Hermione, whose parents were muggles, but she was well read, so she was very informed and she was great at spells. But Harry had courage. Like he wasn't scared of the shit that everybody else was scared of. Like everybody else was scared of Voldemort. They didn't even want to say his name. He like, Voldemort, pull up, let's go. At 14, as a teenager, grown ass people was scared of this man Voldemort, and Harry was like, come up, pull up and get the smoke, you know, and outlived every threat every time, you know. It's not like he was like courageous and it didn't work out for him. Like it worked out for him every time. And literally all the way up to the end where he was willing to sacrifice himself for just the sake of ending the war, you know, and knowing that once he learned that he was a Horcrux and that's why there was that connection between him and Voldemort, he was like, all right, damn, all right, well, this is how we gotta end it. And he even survived that. Like he survives it all. It don't matter how many times Voldemort try to get, and mind you, everybody's scared of Voldemort. Voldemort was offing people left and right like it was nothing. Like everybody was talking about how scary the Avada Kedavra spell is and all of this stuff. And and Harry faced that several times and lived every time. Even when he was willing to sacrifice himself, he still lived. Like literally the boy who lived every time. And the crazy thing about that, right? Not only what makes Harry dope is his courage, but also his like humility and just his nerve to do the right thing. Like even, and you see a little bit of, I mean, you always kind of see it, but he's always willing to save somebody, like he, when in Goblet of Fire, when they had the challenge with the tournament where everybody's friends was like underwater and they had to go save them. I mean, both of his friends was under there. Like Hermione was down there and Ron was down there. So he left I'm saving both my friends, you know? And so then the mer people were like, nah, you can only save one. He still wasn't trying to hear that. Like, okay, the shark dude, Crumb, came and saved Hermione, so she was good. So Harry saved Ron. But then the girl, the one girl that was in the tournament, she didn't get a chance to go down there because her sister was down there. Harry even saved her sister. He didn't have to save that girl. He said, I'm not going to leave a girl here. I'm not going to leave a girl. So we going to save her because that's who Harry is. Okay. He didn't have to save her, but even him being last, the fact that he was willing to, fight off the mer people or, the sirens or whoever was in the water to save old girl's sister on top of saving Ron and fighting them people off. That's what got him extra points and, and elevated him in the tournament. And I think he was like tied with Cedric or something like that at that point. Yeah. Like, but also, again, Harry out here saving these hoes. And mind you, my point in even bringing that up, the interesting thing about the very last movie was in the end, or it wasn't it was like the middle of the movie, but like they were back at Hogwarts and all those things or whatever. And, he's fighting, he's trying to get the extra the Horcrux, the crown, um, uh, that was for the House of Ravenclaw. He up in the attic where Malfoy was transporting the Death Eaters to get to Hogwarts, and run into Draco. Him and his little homies or whatever, his little goons, run into them, and and they fight and they battling it out. One of them starts a fire, and then one, I think the one that started the fire ends up dying in the fire, which is kind of crazy. But Malfoy and his friend, I think the black boy Blaze, they're climbing up stuff. I'm like, why are y'all climbing up when there's a fire? Y'all need to find ways to elevate and leave. But you know, Harry and Ron, they got their the brooms that they be flying on or whatever for Quidditch. And he see that Draco and his friend stuck. Harry like, we can't leave them. Ron like, are you serious? What you mean we can't leave them? We got to get up out of here. Like, it's a fire. It's a war out here. Like, it's literally war out here. And he on the other side. What you mean we got to go back and save them? Harry, Captain Saberho, turned back. Him and Ron turned back, picked up Draco, picked up the friend, and they got up out of there. Saved all their lives. Even though they were literally fighting against each other. But Harry knew. He was like, look, I can't leave Draco. And the thing is, Harry saving Draco was the thing that saved his life. Okay? Because all forward to at the end, once he realized he's the last Horcrux or whatever, him and the snake, and he's willing to sacrifice himself just for the sake of like ending the war and taking out the power of Voldemort. He goes out there. Voldemort does the whole kill a nigga spell. And Harry's just laying there. And it's Draco's mom. I don't know. I don't know how to say her name. But to me, Aunt Paulie from Peaky Blinders. If you haven't watched Peaky Blinders, you should definitely check out Peaky Blinders. That's one of them shows. But Aunt Paul from Peaky Blinders go over there, check on Harry. Because again, mind you, bringing it back to the point that people aren't loyal to Voldemort because of his cause. They're scared of him. They know this nigga is crazy. They know he's wrong. They know that a lot of the shit that he be fighting for don't make sense. And it's really just a power trip. and then tries to convince people to go up against the Muggles. For what? The Muggles don't do nothing to y'all, but whatever. Draco mom go up to Harry and she like, is my son good or not? She ain't say it like that, but you know what I'm saying. She know he's alive. She could have immediately just been like, yeah, he alive. Nah. She was like, is Draco alive? And thanks to Harry saving his life, as Harry do, even his enemy that was trying to off him, literally tried to off him, but he went back and saved his life because it ultimately was the thing that saved his life. And he like, yeah, Draco good. He good. He good. She like, Harry dead. Harry gone. And they literally, but the craziest part about that was like they were, Hagrid was carrying Harry, they walking back to the school or whatever, and Voldemort's like, look, I got Harry, haha, finally, I got Harry. Y'all either go and join me or get off. What you want to do? As soon as Harry jumped up out of Hagrid's arms and said, bitch, the battle lives on. After Draco had went back to his mom, that lady walked off with her kid, okay? She got her kid and she got up out of there. They ain't even run, okay? Draco's dad was trying to run because he was scary. He ain't had no backbone. Draco's mom, she said, Draco, come here. Come here. Come here, baby. And as soon as the battle continued, she said, we're going home. I don't care how this battle ends. She ain't looked back to see what was going on at all. She dipped up out of there. She got her son and she left. She said, fuck that Voldemort nigga. He's queen. Harry, you good. And sure enough. But you know what? But here's the thing though. Here's the thing. Now that I'm remembering this. What's interesting is even prior to Harry saving Draco low-key looked out for Harry. Because I feel like it wasn't because, like, part of it was because he really didn't want to see Harry get hurt. But I feel like part of it is because, like, Draco was scared. He'd be scary and he really didn't want to, like, he didn't really want to cause harm to Harry. I feel like he's really not about that life like that. Like, yeah, he had his beef with Harry through the years, but I don't think he wanted it to be to a point where he wanted to see him, like, die. I don't think he wanted that. So when they was back at the Malfoy crib after they got snatched up in the woods, and Hermione did the spell to like disfigure Harry's face, and what's the name, Bellatrix or however you say her name, she like, is this Harry? She asked Draco like, yo, is this Harry or not? And he like, I don't know. He knew that nigga was Harry. He knew that was Harry. Who else was it gonna be? He knew it was Harry. And he like, I don't know, I ain't seen nothing. See, and again, these people are not loyal to Voldemort because they know that nigga is crazy. But I respect that though. Even though like they had their little beats or whatever, but they was low key looking out for each other. Like they would do like little petty shit, but I don't think they wanted to see each other like be seriously hurt. You know, and so in a way, like, Draco looked out for Harry in that moment, and Harry looked out for Draco. And even though they were fighting and beefing or whatever, he didn't let him die though. All the way to a point where Draco's mom was like, yo, is my son good? And Harry like, yeah, he good. She like, all right, bet. You know, and mind you, that was the conversation. That was the conversation in itself. He knew what it was. He knew what it was, and she knew what it was. She like, look, you play your part. You play your part. And and the fact all she needed to know was that her son was good. And she looked out for Harry. And the crazy thing about that scene is before he walked up there and he had the resurrection stone. And he had like his mom, his dad, Lupin, Sirius Black was all around him. And, they all were basically like, comforting him and preparing him for the moment, whatever the case may be. And when he goes to the whole like white train station moment where he sees the part of Voldemort that's connected to him and he's talking to Dumbledore, mind you, that conversation still never made sense to me. Maybe I gotta watch it again and see, like, I don't know. But basically, um, I think Dumbledore was basically saying like, if you need help, it'll come to you. Help will be there for you. And sure enough, and it's crazy because the universe be working like that. The universe be working like that sometimes, where it's like you don't know how you're gonna get up out of a situation, or you don't know how something's gonna work out, but you just like put it out there into the universe, like, look, I need help, I need a way out of here. And he ain't have no plan. And a lot of times they don't. A lot of times they be in these situations where they try to plan for something and the plan just be like it always, you know, goes awry, but it works out for them in the end anyway. And he didn't know how he was going to get about that situation. Again, it was another situation very similar to like how in the end of Goblet of Fire, when him and Cedric are at the graveyard and they see Voldemort, and Voldemort does the whole ritual to bring himself back to life, whatever. It's literally Harry against Voldemort and his crew. You know what I mean? Like Harry's by himself, 14 years old, by himself, going up against Voldemort. And Cedric was already dead at that point. So he's like, look, I don't know how I'm gonna get up out of here, but I'm gonna get up out of here. And he got up out of there. And again, another situation where he walked into that situation like preparing to sacrifice himself. And he didn't know how he was going to get up out of there if he was, but he was willing to do it just for the sake of like weakening Voldemort to end the war. And he was surrounded. It was Voldemort and his goons, Voldemort and his peeps. And sure enough, it was Draco's mama, um, Narcia, Narcissus. I don't know. I don't know how to say her name. But sure enough, she went up over there, and it was that was the only conversation. Is Draco good? Hmm. Harry ain't even speak. All he did was like a little nod, and that was all she needed. And she like, look, y'all, Harry gone. He gone. And he played his part. He played his part. And I'm like, I appreciate that. I can appreciate scenes like that. And and just like the complexity of relationships in the world of like Harry Potter and the wizards and all of that stuff. Like, and especially, okay, this was another thing that I wanted to talk about. In watching the movie, like with the whole like the leading up to Snape killing Dumbledore and Snape ultimately becoming the headmaster of Hogwarts, and being committing to his role as a Death Eater. Um and where am I getting at? Basically, I had already seen the series, so I understood. I forgot the specific details, but I knew that Snape was playing, but really in support of Dumbledore and Harry and all of that, right? But I forgot what the full arrangement was between Snape and Dumbledore. But so in watching in hindsight, knowing how Snape has to play his part, and then when Harry pops back up at the school, Harry's so gangster. Snape is like, yeah, so I heard Harry around these parks. So if y'all see him, let us know. And Harry said, bitch, I'm here. He said, what's up, Snape? I'm here. I ain't hiding. But since we want to talk about me being here, let's talk about the fact that you're the reason why Dumbledore isn't here. Okay? And the thing is, in hindsight, I'm like, oh, but Harry, you don't know that Snape is really rocking with you. But like at the same time, in my own life and how I be like seeing shit play out sometimes, part like, because I understand like playing a double agent is a lot. That's a lot for a person to have to deal with. To really play and commit to your role, to act as if you're siding with someone, but the people that you're siding with is really fucked up. And but they're in a position of power, they're ruthless, and you just gotta do what you need to do to stay alive. But at the same time, I respect Harry though. Because for a long time I was like, Harry, you don't understand the chess moves that's happening behind the scenes. But at the same time, in real life, I be feeling like Harry, like, man, fuck all them chess moves. Like, stand where you stand. Either you standing here or you standing over there. But the whole like jumping, double dutching, both sides, like, fuck all of that. Either you here or you there. But the dutching, we not doing that. And I'd be rocking with Harry when it comes to that. Cause Harry is like, nah, Dumbledore trusted you, bruh. Even though he didn't know that it was an agreement that Dumbledore made with Snape. Like, look, if it comes down to it, Snape has to be the one to off Dumbledore because it'll put him in a position where it'll build trust between him and Voldemort, which was smart. It was smart, but damn, like the fact that y'all even got to play it out like this, you know what I mean? But he was willing to sacrifice himself literally as a chess piece in order for the bigger cause. Harry wasn't trying to, he ain't think or care about none of that. He's like, Dumbledore was, a pillar in this fight. You're the reason. It's your fault, Snape. And the thing was, Harry knew that Snape was playing as a double agent because we find that out in Half Blood Prince, I think. No, no, Goblet of Fire. And Goblet of Fire, was it Goblet of Fire? Yes, either Goblet of Fire or Order of Phoenix. One of those movies. When they go back, I think I forget which one it is specifically. Hold on, it'll come to me. I'm pretty sure it's Goblet of Fire. I'm pretty sure it's Goblet of Fire. But basically, that scene where there was somebody that was a prisoner in Azkaban, and they were like, "Look, he was appealing for his innocence, and he was willing to give names, and he named a few people that were working with Voldemort, and he said Snape, but Dumbledore is like, we know he's acting as a double agent for our cause, and that's how we find out that Snape is moving as if he's siding with Voldemort, but he's actually working in favor with Dumbledore, in the Ministry, and then he revealed that the son of the minister. I don't know if it was it's not the minister, but it was somebody who worked over there. I forget his name. His son was actually um helping Voldemort. And so that's how he imprisoned his son. And then his son broke out of as everybody was breaking out of Azkaban. I'm like, don't Dementors, there is no point in having Dementors because mad people was just slipping up out of Azkaban. But anyway, I think he broke out of Azkaban, And yeah, no, actually, I think that was Half Blooded Prince because he saw him. It's like Crab something, I think is his name. Um, he saw when Harry was having the dreams, and he would see Voldemort with no, I think that was Order of Phoenix. No, that was Order of Phoenix. My bad. That's when he was having the dreams. And when at that point Snape was training him to like um slip into the dreams to see what Voldemort was doing, but to protect himself, so Voldemort wouldn't try to. But Voldemort was already doing. Yeah, that was Order of Phoenix. Order of Phoenix. But basically, um, the reason why I bring that up is because that's when we found out that Snape was working as a spy. So we knew he was working as a spy. Harry knew that because Dumbledore. I think it was Dumbledore that let Harry see that memory. I think. Sorry, it's a lot of movies. It's a lot of movies. All right, I'm gonna get. But my point is, we know Harry. We know Snape was a spy. I'm pretty sure Harry knew this, and he didn't care about none of that because all he knew is he physically seen Snape off Dumbledore, and when he got back to that school, he said Snape is up for you, okay? Because Dumbledore trusted you, and you betrayed him. And Harry, I don't think Harry is really good at the whole like, you know, being a double agent thing because we see a little bit of that when in Chamber of Secrets when they had to do the poly potion to switch to Draco's friends and Draco talking shit about Hermione and all of that and they was ready to, they was ready to throw hands. Granted, they were kids, so of course they was going to be angered by people talking about their friend. And of course they got to go along with it like. But I'm like, Harry just too real to play them games. Okay. Harry's just like, look, it's my side or their side. The whole back and forth, like moving real oppy. You moving real oppy out here. And the fact that he really seen what happened to Dumbledore, he didn't care about none of that. Okay. And he was gonna tell Snape to his face in front of everybody. Like, fuck what you talking about. Bitch, I ain't scared of you, and I seen what you did to Dumbledore. Okay. And he trusted you. And that's what you did. You know. But at the same time, I could commend Snape because I know that probably wasn't a easy role to play. I think it's funny because judging a book by its cover, no pun intended, it's easy to see Snape being on the side of Voldemort because he just has that dark aesthetic. He just his vibe is like villainous in a way. And to know the full story, it's funny because that flashback at the end of the well, not flashback, but when Harry got his tears after Voldemort had off Snape because motherfuckers was just dropping left and right. Um, when Harry looked at his memory and saw how Snape was really trying to protect Harry, even before he was born, like when he was a baby. And through the years, even though he appeared to be like a really tough teacher on him, he actually really cared a lot about Harry, probably more than Dumbledore, because Dumbledore was like, look, this is what we got to do. We're going to have to off the kid at some point. Okay. And I'm like, well, damn. And Snape was like, oh, so you raised them to be slaughtered like cattle? That's what we doing now? And I'm like, not Snape being the sentimental one and Dumbledore being like the savage one. Like, and basically, I think the moral of that story is you can't trust none of these niggas because sometimes the villains be the ones looking out and the ones that you think is like supposed to be like the mentor, the high, teacher person to look up to like a Dumbledore is really like, look, to get Voldemort, we gotta off Harry. Like, and Snape wasn't trying to hear that. Snape was just like, okay, all right. But Snape was really like looking out for Harry for a long time. And we even see that in the first movie. Like we see that when there was that spell on his broom in the Quidditch match. And even though it appears like Snape is the one that's trying to like, jinx him, Snape was actually looking out. Like, you know, but characters like that are tricky. Cause it's like, where the fuck do you stand? You know what I mean? Like that whole like playing both sides shit. Like I get it. Like to a degree, like I could respect it a little bit, not a lot, a little bit. Um, because like, if you're in a compromising situation like Snape, where you're literally like trying to stay alive because you with Voldemort, but in order for but at the same time, to be on Voldemort's side, you still gotta prove yourself. Like telling Voldemort, getting the inside scoop on when Harry was going to be moved from his old house to Weasley's house, and and they ambushed them, and that had an effect where Aleister Moody was off, and so was the bird. Like and I get it because like Snape at that point had to again like continue to prove himself to Voldemort, even though his fight was really on Harry's side. But it's like you being a double agent still is like a detriment to the side that you're supporting, and I get it. Like, okay, again, like in chess, you got to sacrifice certain pieces in order to win the game. But like, they could have took Harry out. You know what I mean? Like, was that sacrifice really worth it? You know what I mean? And I get it. Like, that's a tough position to be in, and that's a tough role to play. And and I mean, I really like Snape as a character. Just because like he's just so fucking fabulous to me, like, and just like the delivery of his lines is just so like cold and smooth. But that was the one thing where I was just like, when I first seen that movie, I was like, damn, that's crazy. Snape really fucked with Harry. But basically, at the same time, in hindsight, like being an adult and going through my own experiences of dealing with individuals that be doing that, like the whole playing both sides because you got to be scared of the side that you're supposed to be on, but you really support this. Like that shit is just confusing. Because with you playing both sides, you still have to do things to support the other side, the side that you're supposedly against, and really be causing harm to the side that you're supposed to support. So it's like at this point, at that point, it's like who do you really stand for? What do you really stand for? You know what I mean? It not even like just who, but what do you stand for? You know what I mean? Like I get it. I get it, but at the same time, like, how is this helping? You know what I mean? Like, I felt like Snape playing on that side was more harmful than it was helpful. Because I'm trying to think, like, how was Snape? Because technically, I feel like the only person that really knew that Snape was still um working on the side of like Voldemort. I mean, not Voldemort. Like Dumbledore was Dumbledore. Because it's not like other people were in those meetings when it was just Snape and Dumbledore. I mean, granted, he was reporting to him, and Dumbledore, I'm sure, like, I know people in the ministry knew, but at that point, the ministry was already taken over by people from Voldemort's crew. So, and who was Snape in contact with on Dumbledore's side so he can be reporting to them? You know what I mean? Like I felt like, yeah, Snape had to play a double agent, but it was more advantageous for Voldemort's group than it was for Harry's side. It wasn't until the very end where it's just like, oh, by the way, Snape actually really cared about you. But it's like at the same time, Snape did so much damage. Like he had to off Dumbledore. You gave up information about Harry's whereabouts. So when Harry was being transported, it was an ambush that ultimately took out Moody, the bird, and um and one of the Weasley twins got messed up in that. So like how was that actually, like, you know what I mean? Like how was that really helping? I mean, granted, like Voldemort was really doing a lot of damage when he came back to power, because not only do you have Snape as the headmaster, he trying to hold it down. I get it, but then like Voldemort's crew took over the ministry, but they already had like moles in the ministry at that point anyway, and they're like offing Muggles, and like the people in the Order of Phoenix and everybody that was on Dumbledore's side was being taken out left and right. You know what I mean? Like at that point, at the point of, let's say, like maybe like the last movie, at that point, you already everybody that was on Harry's team that they already lost was Sirius Black, Dumbledore, Moody, Hedwig, the bird, reparations for the bird. Um, who else? I mean, there was quite a few people, and then they crashed the wedding. At that was right after that. Um, I mean, like there were so many people. There were so many people, and I mean, it wasn't until like later on when the full battle started where like um Dobby done lost Dobby. Um, the teacher, the teacher that was at Hogwarts at the start of I think it was the first Deathly Hollows. It was I forget, but the teacher that was floating over the table that worked at Hogwarts, her life wasn't spared. You know, I forget the lady who did the Muggle studies. So they done lost the teacher, they done lost Sirius Black, they done lost, Dumbledore, like so many people from that side. And it was like, okay, how was Snape playing both sides helping? I feel like it didn't. You know, and mind you, did all of that, did all of that just for Voldemort to do him the dirtiest. Out of everybody that, like, mind you, Voldemort was just offering people even on his own team that was trying to like check in on him, and it's like, yo, are you okay? And he's just like, Avada Kedavra. Like, well, damn, you know. And he did Snape dirtiest just for the sake of like, oh, the wand is, responding to you, and the Elder Wand that he took from Dumbledore, and had the snake kill Snape. And I'm like, you did all that playing both sides just for him to do you dirty. That's why I'm like, in hindsight, like I get it. I get why, because for a long time when Harry just like outed him as the one who um, you know, did Dumbledore in, I'm like, damn, but Harry, you don't know what's really going on though. But at the same time, it's like, man, fuck all that. Like, where do you stand? Because it's a lot of flip flopping. It's a lot of flip flopping that be going on. And it's like, okay, I get it. Like Snape had to do it to stay alive for himself. But who are you helping? Because it didn't really seem like it was helping their side. Because if he was already acting as a spy for as long as he was, there should have been more in place to prevent Voldemort from even getting into power. Like how Harry even ended up at that whole ritual that brought Voldemort to power. If Snape was really like playing to both sides, that could have been prevented. Or at least there could have been more done to um to stall it. You know what I mean? Like there could have been more done to stall it, or at least Snape should have at least knew that old dude was acting as Moody, because it wasn't until the very end where Snape thought that Harry and his friends was taking like herbs from his potions to make the poly potion to like transmute into somebody else. But it wasn't until the end where him and Dumbledore were like, "Oh, well, I see this is probably what's happening to your, your herbs." Why didn't Snape already know that? Why wasn't Snape already privy to that if he was acting as a spy? You know what I mean? He should have known, like, because I would assume if he's working with Voldemort on their side and technically being a spy for Voldemort, then he should have been able to connect with the person that was acting as Alistair Moody. And, and it would have made sense if they were like working together, because it's like, oh, there's moles in Hogwarts. But how does Snape not know? How does Snape do who was the son to the guy in the ministry was acting as Alistair Moody? How did he know that if he was a spy? You know what I mean? So if he was a spy and really acting on the side to benefit Voldemort, I mean not Voldemort, Dumbledore, one, he should have already knew that the dude playing Moody was a fake. And he should have been more in position to prevent a lot of the stuff happening with the tournament. You know what I mean? Like he could have been the main person, like low key trying to like help Harry um not fall for the BS, basically. And yeah, I just feel like it wasn't a benefit at all, you know? And my thing was like, how long was he playing a spy? That's what I want to know. And again, maybe this is explained more in the books, and I haven't read the books in a very long time. And I didn't get up to I got up to Order of Phoenix. So yeah, I don't know. I gotta revisit that. But like I have so many questions. I have so many questions about that. And yeah, I just feel like who is it really helping playing a double agent? You know what I mean? Like I get it in certain situations, it makes sense. It reminds me of this episode of Scandal where this lady, um her son was in the army and passed away, and but he I think he was a part of the military, and he switched over to like a terrorist group, and they were basically saying like, oh, he's a traitor to the country or whatever the case may be. But the truth was he was acting as an undercover agent. But because the investigation or like the secret mission was ongoing, he had to keep in order to preserve the mission, they had to keep the narrative as if he's a traitor, but he was really a hero to the country. And they had to even lie to his mom. Like she couldn't know the truth about her son still being uh you know she had to like know that he was a traitor, even though he wasn't, even like he was being undercover. And I'm like, okay, in that situation I can understand that, because it's like if he's still reporting to the US, like actually helping an ongoing situation. But I feel like in the case of Harry Potter with um Snape, who was it really helping? I don't think it helped nobody. And and I get it, like I get the power move of Snape being the one to, you know, get Dumbledore, and that their agreement. So, he was just it like so Dumbledore knew that, okay, this is, he knew what it was. And, and that was even their own secret. Like, look, if it comes down to it, Snape has to be the one to do the job. He doesn't want Draco to have to do it. Even though he knows that Voldemort was the one trying to get Draco into doing it. But my thing is like, okay, so even if y'all knew that Draco was creating the portal to get these people to go in and out of Hogwarts, and Snape has the info and Snape is the one telling you, why couldn't y'all do something where like the maintenance dude with the cat was like up there cleaning and, accidentally like move the closet and like, prevent or like close the portal. You know what I mean? Where it could have been like an incidental thing. They was just like letting these people run amok and did absolutely nothing to prevent or like at least like do little things to kind of like push back on Voldemort's agenda. Like they knew what he was doing, but how were they doing? Because again, Voldemort was just wrecking havoc everywhere from, you know, within the ministry, within Hogwarts, within like everywhere. It was just a mess. It was a mess. And yeah, I don't know. That was my opinion about that scenario. But at the same time, like I still like think Snape is great though. Like he's still one of my favorite characters. Um but yeah, man, like Harry Potter is just really sad at the end of it all, you know. But I mean it's still a great series nonetheless. And like I was saying before, it gave me a new appreciation for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them because it was like a pick me up film. Like, it was a lot of I don't know who did the music, but it felt like the first two movies where there was a lot of like moments in between the tragedies, you know. And a lot of the scoring was really good in that film. Like it felt like a lot of the music and like a lot of the John Williams style music that played in the first film, like with the orchestra and the strings, and a lot of the moments when they're in the hall at Hogwarts, and when the kids first get on campus, and just like the upbeat comedic moments, like the music felt like that, and I feel like it's a good pick me up. I mean, even though at the end of the movie, like they win the war, you know, but it's and then like they have that moment where like you see them all grown up and Harry and Jenny and they got a kid and they're bringing their kids to Hogwarts and it's like I don't know, that moment wasn't satisfying enough for me because like I'm like, okay, if y'all end it like that, I wouldn't mind them bringing it back to fill in the blanks from Harry defeating Voldemort all the way up to him becoming a father, and whatever career path he has after that. I'm sure he's like a hero amongst the, like I would want to see that storyline. Like I would want to see Harry come back. Like what is Dad Harry like? And I'm like, of course, in order for it to be interesting, has to be like some type of like conflict or or issue or scenario or whatever the case may be. And I really would not care to hear like Voldemort is back. Like okay, like maybe like some of the remaining people from Voldemort's crew, maybe if they were starting some trouble somewhere and then like Harry has to come and like you know come up with like the newer generation of Order of Phoenix and fight them off. Like I'm here for a sign like that. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, like, and it doesn't have to be so dark and depressing because those last few, I kid you not. After Goblet of Fire, Harry Potter is sad. Okay, like there's just like there's not a movie where like you're not like oh my god another one. Yeah, they had In Deathly Hollows, it was the Moody, Edgewick, and Dobby all in one movie. Like, damn. And then the last one, we lose Lupin. The lady that he got a kid, mind you. Um, you know, one of the twins. Um, like it was a lot. It was a lot going on. It was a lot. Um, yeah. But I mean, it was good nonetheless. Like it was a good movie or series franchise. And you know, but I was like those last few ones, shit was getting real. And but I can appreciate what I can appreciate about that though is that they made Voldemort a realistic villain to fear. Even though I'm with Harry on that like fuck fearing him type shit, like I'm gonna say his name and I don't care. Um, but for the amount of power that Voldemort was accumulating after coming back, it it created like legitimate like worry and concern for people. Aside from the fact like, oh, Voldemort is back. Like he was back and he was running shit, like taking over like all the power structures that was supposed to hold up upheld protections to prevent anything like that happening again. Um, but it just seems like the whole crew that was supposed to do that, everybody was just like failing. I'm like, there was not enough strategy and teamwork aside from Harry, Ron, and Hermione. Like okay, another thing about Hermione, right? Hermione is really like a ace to have on your crew because when Harry was like after they left his old spot and went to the Weasleys and then got ambushed by Voldemort and his crew or whatever, and he was about to dip and go walk off, got his little backpack and was going to go hiking. And Ron is like, bro, where are you going? Like, what is you doing? He's like, look, I got to get these Horcruxes. I'm tired of seeing people like get hurt over me or whatever. And Ron's like, so you just going to go by yourself as if you not Harry Potter? Like, bruh. And then he's like, well, Ron, come with me. And he's like, so we going to leave without Hermione? We not going to last like 2 seconds without Hermione. And sure enough, after they got ambushed at the wedding and they left, and they were trying to figure out their next move or they figure out their next situation, and then they end up getting in a battle with some people at the coffee shop or whatever the case be. The fact that Hermione had a bag ready, she, if worst came to worst, she had a bag with a first aid kit, a healing potion. She had clothes for them, clothes for her and for them. She had a tent in there. Like she was ready. She was ready if need be. Like if it came down to it and we got a hike in the woods, we'll be fine. And I mean, it wasn't a perfect situation, but she was ready. They did not have no tent in a bag. They didn't have no healing potions. Harry was just about to be on foot with like clothes and a wand. Okay. Hermione had a magical first aid kit. She had a suitcase. I mean, a sleeping bag, a tent. She had a lamp. Okay, she probably had some meals cooked. Like Hermione was always ready. Like if like anybody that's like a Hermione on the team, like she is an ace to have on the team. Okay, and Ron was right because what was they going to do without her? What were they going to do without her? And not only did she have the tent set up, she already knew the protection spell to have like an invisible type of like dome over the area that they were in after they left the ministry or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, this girl is brilliant. And they kept saying that the whole movie. And they're like, wow, that's brilliant. And Ron was coming up with some good ideas too. Like Ron was having his moment in the first Deathly Hollows. And yeah, it was just dope to see. But yeah, ultimately, I think that's all the points that I wanted to say. But because I'm like, I'm not gonna watch all these movies and then not give my 2 cents. Like, I'm going to make content out of the fact that I sat up here and watched these movies for hours. Okay. I mean, granted, it was kind of like my version of like a holiday break or holiday vacation. Because I watched the first one on Christmas. And I kind of already had in my mind, I guess, be it the Truman Show producers, maybe, I don't know. That I wanted to rewatch Harry Potter anyway, like at some point. Like for a while, I kind of already wanted to do that. And then and for Christmas, I had a really good Christmas. Like, you know, I'm like pushing 30. And, it's not like I like celebrated with like friends and family or anything like that. Like I literally was just at the house. There was no gifts under that Christmas tree. Like I didn't even put no ornaments on that tree. I put the tree up just for like aesthetics. And I could have like did the whole decorating thing. And I literally put that tree up like a few days before Christmas because I was like, you know what? I should at least get a little bit into the holiday spirit, right? And so I did. And for me, like it was like the simplest Christmas that you could have ever had. But like I'm beyond like the whole thing of like, oh, I wonder what I'm gonna get as a gift. Like I can get myself what I want. Um and honestly, like I'm not pressed on it just because like I'm trying to be smart with my finances and like I got bills, you know. So, but for me, I did the simplest thing of like playing like my favorite holiday music, um, especially like the Charlie Brown, Vince Giraldi album, which I mean it's a classic. It's classic. It's the classic Charlie Brown Peanuts music, and like just that holiday album is so perfect. And it's always been a favorite of mine for years. And even like during better times with my dad in my life or whatever, when we would go Christmas shopping, I would always like to listen to that album while we would ride around getting gifts for my family or whatever the case may be. And my relationship with them is a little estranged these days, but I mean, it's fine for me. Um, but for at, at least during that time, I really enjoyed getting gifts for people. Like I had fun, seeing the list of gifts that my cousins wanted and going shopping with my dad and getting everybody exactly what they wanted. And that was a joy for me. Like I enjoyed that. And now I really don't care to do all that. Um, for reasons I'll explain later. But if my life were like the Truman Show, I mean, I think it makes sense why. Um, but anyway, that's beside the point. But I listen to my favorite holiday music. Um, I got dressed because I got this red dress that last year for these performances that I was doing because I was performing at like nursing homes for like the holiday season, and I got like these like holiday style looks, and I got this really cute dress. It was like red and it had like it was kind of like form fitting but like loose around the sleeves, and it was cute. And so I was like, you know what, I'll wear this for Christmas and I'll dress up for the day just a little bit, just so I feel cute. And then I had picked up some food a few days beforehand, and I was gonna do like a soul food kind of like meal. And so I did collard greens um with a little bit of turkey meat in there. I did turkey wings and like some turkey thighs smothered. Um and I did a sweet potato casserole with the marshmallows on top, and I just had some rice, right? And I was thinking about doing like mac and cheese, but I had made mac and cheese not too long ago. Um and I had made it twice. So I was like, I'm gonna switch it up. And I made like collard greens each time. So I was like, whatever. I just had enough to like put together like a nice meal. And because like making a meal like that requires a lot of time. So like I spent most of the day like doing that, like cooking. And I had a good time. I enjoyed myself. Like I enjoyed cooking, and I enjoyed the meal that I made, and I was really proud. And it was like one of the few times where I made everything and I didn't have to look up a recipe, or I didn't have to, because when I started like really getting into cooking, there would be like some YouTubers that I would watch to see like recipes in terms of like, I mean, I have been making like smothered turkey wings for a few years now, so I feel like I'm confident in my method and my recipe. Um, Collard greens, I don't make it a whole lot, but I know how to, like, and it's pretty simple. Like, collard greens are super easy to make. And it's just a matter of like how you want to make it. And what part of the leaf you want to use and keep. And the thing for me is like, I don't mind the stock, but I just rather take it out because I don't want to have to deal with it. So it's just like extra time to like take the stalks out and like clean the leaves and all of that stuff. But like it's simple. It's simple to make collard greens. And I realized last time I had over seasoned it, and this time I had a better strategy to season it and not do it too much, because you gotta like it cooks down, and it depends on how much you're using. Will determine how much seasoning you need, and so I know some people use like a lot, and I know like I didn't have like a whole lot that I was making, so I just knew like I knew the process of what I was doing, basically. And with the sweet potatoes, I wanted to make I was thinking about making candied yams, but the type of potatoes that I had were really large, and I really didn't feel like trying to cut those into different slices or whatever the case may be. So I was just like, you know what? And plus, like I was already doing so many other things, like trying to prep the collard greens, prepping the wings, cutting the peppers and all of that stuff for the smothered turkey wings. And with that, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna make it simple for myself with the sweet potatoes. And so basically I just like boiled it, and that was something where I could just leave it in the pot for like a good like 40 minutes to an hour. And just let that boil while I prep everything else, cut the peppers, cut the onions and all of that stuff. And then by the time that was like really tender and soft, all I had to do was like mix it, and then, season it up, throw the marshmallows on, put it in the oven. Simple. Like most of the stuff was simple to make. The only thing that would have been more intricate was like the turkey wings, because like I had to like clean off the wings, cut the peppers, make the sauce with it. Um and I know sometimes it takes a while to cook down, and I was thinking like maybe I should have started with it, but I didn't mind my process. I didn't mind how long it took for me to make it. Um, but I made the turkey wings and they came out fire per usual. And I know sometimes like you gotta leave it in the oven for a long time to be real tender. And the thing is like my dad would get like a large bag of turkey wings, and it would be like a bunch of them in there. And mind you, I was making it with like him and others in mind at the time. And so, but this time around, I was like, I'll probably share a few pieces with Angie, and call it a day. And I wasn't really like trying to do a whole lot, like a lot of traveling or anything like that or whatever. I was just like, look, it's going to be a dinner for me and Angie, and we just going to vibe out and watch like a holiday movie or something like that. And that's that. Like I was cute. I had my music, the classic Christmas music, the jazz vibes. And then there was also like some choral music in like this playlist, the classics with Frank Sinatra and all of that. And I'm like, those you can't, those don't get old. Rocking around the Christmas tree, just like the classic records. And I made my dinner, and it came out great. And I was really proud. Like I was really proud that I didn't have to look at a recipe or look up a YouTube video, because I was confident enough in what I was making, and like just my whole like approach on how I was going to do it. And I had been making like some other turkey wings for a while. Okay, my point is, my dad used to get like the big bag with all the wings or whatever. And so because like I knew I didn't need a whole lot, and plus, like I haven't really been eating meat a whole lot, and like every now and then I will have like chicken and stuff like that or whatever. But I'm really trying not to eat meat so much. Um, but I was like, it's the holidays. I'm gonna treat myself, and I'm gonna balance it. If my life were like the Truman Show, you probably already know what's on the menu. And I don't mind sharing. But I didn't want that to be the only thing that I was eating. So because I know like it's heavy in sauce and like, in seasonings and stuff like that. And it's not the healthiest. And it's more so for comfort and the sake of it being the holiday. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna have like some soul food, but I'm also gonna have like healthy food at the same time so I can balance the two. And so I got like a bunch of fruits and veggies and stuff like that. And so I have been making like salads, and I love a good salad. So I have been making salads and just eating fruit or whatever. And so like I'll eat both in moderation. So like because it's the holiday season and it's Kwanzaa too, and I have been celebrating that in my own little way. Um, and so I've had the soul food eat like for dinner or whatever, but then I'll also have like my fruits and the salad or whatever. But specifically on Christmas. Christmas was a vibe for me. Um just because like I said, I had my holiday music, I was making my meal, I was cooking for like a few hours and listening to my Christmas music. And then once everything was done, and then mind you, I was dressed up, I felt cute, I had my little fashionista moments. And then me and Angie, we was chilling, and then we watched Harry Potter, and the first one before things got too dark and depressing. But it was a real treat. It was a real treat, and it was a simple holiday. And again, like it wasn't like high expectations. I didn't go like see family or anything like that. Oh my god. Um, but I just wanted to like just chill with Ange and just do something simple. And I've been working up my cooking skills for the last few years, and I'm really proud of it. So like something as simple as just like having a really good home cooked meal, like some your grandma would be proud of. Like your granny would have the collard greens and be like, okay. And mind you, like it reminded me of my nana's greens. Um and mind you, I didn't have a like super close relationship with my nana, which was my mom's father's mom. And for a period of time, after like the fallout with my parents, my mom stayed with my nana. And I just remember her, mind you, she's like this little petite black woman. And I remember only a few times having her food, and she could do the whole thing: the mac and cheese, the collard greens, the turkey wings, the rice, the cabbage, the whole thing. And I didn't have a super close relationship with her, but I remember being at her house one time where she made food, and her food was so bomb. And and for whatever reason, even though I have not had her food in a long time, mind you, she passed away a few years ago. I haven't had her food in ages, even when like years, even at like when she was alive. Like I was really young the last time I had her food. I just remember that it was amazing. And when my collard greens, I feel like this time around, reminded me of how she would make her greens. And it just reminded me of being at her house and having a plate of food. Um, yeah, I don't know. It was a pastime moment, but I was really proud of my greens because they came out pretty good. And it was like it gave like very like southern, like soulful, tasty, like it was so good. It was perfect. It was perfect. Um and I'm so proud. I'm so proud because like I wasn't always like the best cook. Like I mean I could whip something up at one point. Like, I could put a little meal together, and every now and then if I saw like recipes online, I would try it out. But I didn't grow up like learning how to cook soul food from like my grandmothers or anything like that. I mean, I remember going to Thanksgivings at with my mom's mother's house, and she would make the whole thing, like the mac and cheese. I think to this day, like I don't know. In recent years, I don't know if the recipes changed a bit because I know she said like she's trying to make it like healthier. But when I was younger, I don't know, maybe there was more love in the food. I don't know. When I was younger, I would say like she definitely hands down had like the best mac and cheese. Um, and I don't know, I feel like in recent years, like it just wasn't really hitting for me. And then again, like other things have transpired to like create rifts between um me and some family. And but you know what? You know how they say like um when people be like, "Grandma, what you put in this food?" And they be like, "I just made it with love." I feel like that's real. I feel like that's real, you know? Um, and you can taste the difference when it's not. But anyway, but I didn't grow up learning how to cook. Both my grandparents were at least like an hour away from me. And I would see them like on weekends and stuff like that. But I never like learned how to cook from them or anything like that. But my grandmother did give me a recipe to a crab imperial, and I've made that a few times. But I wanted to make like the hearty stuff, like I would say like the stuff that your grandkids would brag about, like the mac and cheese, the candy yams, the collard greens, the greens, beans, potatoes, tomatoes, like all of that. Um, Black eyed peas. Speaking of black eyed peas, it's New Year's Eve, and it had been a tradition of mine to do black eyed peas and collard greens, and I was debating if I was going to do that this year or not. I'm sure workers are waiting. Um, um, yeah, but lately I've been cooking more, and especially in the holiday season. Like once it gets like colder outside, like prior to Thanksgiving, I had made like mac and cheese and candy yams just to like see if I could do it. Um, and because like I had been trying to like make seafood mac, but I hadn't mastered like just regular mac and cheese, and so I'm like, all right, I just need to do the basics, like just start out with a regular mac and cheese recipe, master that, and then once I have that down, then like figure out the seafood thing, because like I had made seafood mac and cheese and it was okay, but I had put like too much seafood in it, and I don't think like the sauce was like perfect. So I still have to like figure that out. But my mac and cheese was pretty good last time I made it. But I messed up because I didn't save enough cheese to be like on the top for the crust, and I mixed too much in because I was supposed to like balance it out. I mean, it still was good. Like it still tasted good and it was fine. But I realized I was like, ah, damn, I put too much cheese in the thing. I'm supposed to save some. But the rest of the sauce was good, the cheese was good, it was fine. And the candy yams was good too. It was tender, it was soft, it was tasty. I mean, and candy yams are easy to make. Like, it's just a matter of like cutting the yams and like peeling the yams and cutting it. Like it's just like the tedious stuff like that, like the cutting and the peeling. That should be annoying. But once you get through that, like I feel like making the food isn't really that challenging. But mac and cheese though, it's a lot of steps that go into mac and cheese. Like, you know, like getting all the cheeses, you got to shred the cheese. You can't get pre-shredded cheese. You have to get the block of cheese and shred it, because pre-shredded cheese has like some type of like preserve film on it to prevent it from like melting down how you need it to. So you got to get the block of cheese, right? And mind you, it's a science. It's really a science to cooking. And so, like, you got to get the block of cheese. Then you got to figure out what cheeses you're going to get. You're going to get Monterey Jack, cheddar, extra sharp, white cheddar. Like, like some people do like 20 different cheeses in their mac and cheese. I'm like, okay, I don't think we need all that. But then, you got to do the sauce and then like put the crust on top, and then like how do you make your sauce, how do you do the consistency. Some people like mix it all in with the noodles and then like put the sauce in, or like some people make the sauce, make it separate, and then do the noodles and then mix it in. Some people put blocks of cheese in it. Like there's different strategies and methods to mac and cheese, and I'm still figuring out like what I like. I kept it super simple this year. Like this year, I kept it as simple as I could, just because I'm like, all right, I just want to master the taste, and have at least it be good, like taste wise, and then also figuring out like the consistency of the sauce mixed in with the noodles, because that matters too. Because sometimes like the pull. you know how people be doing the videos with the mac and cheese and like the pull of the cheese, like I still have to master that part, but I really kind of don't care about that as long as it tastes good and it's like and it's together, like the noodles and the cheese are together in the midst of it. But some people like really go into it, and like I said, it's a lot that goes into making mac and cheese. It's a slow ass recipe though. It's literally elbows or whatever noodles that you want to do, and then like the sauce, and then the crust. But it's like it's a process because you got to boil the noodles, you got to shred the blocks, mix the cheese, then you gotta make the sauce. How you gonna make the sauce? How thick is it? What you gonna put in the sauce? Like it's a lot that goes into the process, and seasoning. Don't forget the seasoning. Like how you gonna season? But a hack that I saw online that I like is boiling the noodles with um chicken stock, and I'm like, I like that. And I just like doing that anyway, like even with like rice and noodles and stuff like that, because it extra flavor. Some people just do water and salt, but like adding a little bit of chicken, like chicken broth and stock, or what, it don't matter. Like either or, like broth, stock, chicken, vegetable, beef, whatever. It's gonna add like a little extra flavor in there. And yeah. I'm really, if you couldn't tell, I enjoy the process of like mastering a recipe and the science of cooking. I do thoroughly enjoy it. Um, but yeah, I was like, look, I'm not making mac and cheese for Christmas. That's just too much. Because like I said, I had already made it. I think I made it like, did I make it twice? No, I made it one time, and then I think Thanksgiving I did like a personal mac and cheese with like some bow tie noodles because I just like was whipping up with what I had, and I had some leftover cheese and I had leftover sauce from the first batch of mac and cheese. So that's what I did. But I made for Thanksgiving I did collard greens, sweet potato casserole. Um, uh, I did no mac and cheese, and then like a little bit of rice. So like it was simple, but it was a cute little dinner. But my dinner for Christmas, no, that shit hit. That it was, yeah, no, I did that. I did that. I did that. And I ain't need to look at no recipe. I ain't need to look at no YouTube video to do it. Like I trusted myself throughout the whole process, and it was great. Um, yeah, no, And it's funny because when I would cook and my dad was here, he would always try to downplay everything I did. Anytime I did something I was super proud of it, and he would just be like underwhelmed. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And so I would ask him like, oh, how's the food? And he's like, it's all right, it's good. I'm like, nigga, you know it's hitting, you know, but whatever. Um, but I know my food is good. And I'm really proud of him. I'm really proud of myself as a chef whipping up in the kitchen. But but yeah, anyway, that was a random tangent. I don't know, maybe that was inspired by the witches in the refrigerator. Maybe we're sitting in the fridge right now. I don't know. Um JK, I rebuke it. Um, but yeah, so that was my think piece on Harry Potter, the last few films, and also cooking and Christmas. But yeah, that was the whole point of me bringing that up. Yeah, so I cooked dinner and then I watched Harry Potter, and yeah, it was really dope. I detail it in first. Um, I detail it in the first live stream where I talk about it. But basically, it was again, it was one of those experiences where like you watch a movie that you haven't seen in a long time, and now that you're older and you've been through some things and you know some things, and it changes your perspective on how you see a film. But it wasn't a disappointment. And I'm grateful for that because sometimes with all this stuff coming out about these celebrities and all these things, like a lot of the content out here is shaky. but I really I had a really good Christmas, and I hope you all did too. And yeah, but that's all I had to say for this live stream. And I hope you all had a great time. I hope you all enjoy hearing me ramble about um my the entertainment and thoughts. But yeah, much love to you guys, and I will see you all later. Oh yeah, by the way, check out my music. I just released some songs on SoundCloud, Breaking Out the House, and because it's a house song, it's a house record. I'm breaking out house music, you know. And correspondence. And I spelled it correspond dance because, I want to still have a good time. And I basically wrote inspirational songs to have us dance through our adversities and the pains of life and find ways to have a good time. Yeah, I could write a sad song, play the guitar, and sing real slow. And I've done that. I have songs like that. I love otherwise. Misery is a vibe. But I wanted something where, I can uplift people, empower people, and we can still have a good time. So be sure to check that out. It's on SoundCloud. If you're watching on YouTube, the link is in the description. If you're watching on Kick, the links are in the panels. It's on SoundCloud right now. I'm in the process of putting on streaming platforms, so bear with me. I will be doing a live stream detailing that process. Normally, you're supposed to have all that done before releasing a song, but because I am yet to be in a space where I can move in silence, I'm just gonna move out loud. So yeah, it's out on SoundCloud right now, and eventually I'm working on the process of having it out on Spotify and eventually on other platforms and such. So stay tuned. Be sure to check that out, support, listen to the music, and let me know what you think. Like, comment, and subscribe and share to whoever needs an inspirational word. So yeah. All right. That's the live stream. Um and I could stall just because, the numbers of it all, but nah, who cares? Much love to y'all. See y'all later.